These are some Dinar Guru updates, starting off with Mark Z via PDK. Comment: if Iraq has to have sustainable pricing starting March 1st and Ramadan starts on March 11th, I really feel like we're in the window now, especially with Kuwait reevaluating during Ramadan. Mark Z says business is very much restricted or slows down during Ramadan, but it's still possible to have it happen then. Frank 26 says, to me, that Baghdad dollar, which is the dollar in the black market, is going to have a huge drop, which is what we all want. When it does that in the parallel market, it is possible it will take a 1-to-1 rate. It is possible it will float with other currencies. Then the basket will float the IQD to gain value via a supply and demand of the currency on international markets. All right, Samson has an article quote, Parliamentary Finance directs a request to the U.S. Treasury regarding sanctions on banks. Mountain Goat says, just today another article came out from the CBI telling us yet more steps in the RV reinstatement process are about to be implemented. New developments push us even closer to the RV reinstatement. The news could not get any better aside from having the reinstatement itself. Jeff says when Iraq revalues, both the US and UN will automatically lift and remove their sanctions. When Iraq revalues, it's an automated step and we have to give them their sovereignty back. We have to show the world Iraq has power and control over their own country. The rate change is here in March. It's not a secret. Pimpy community comment says, in my opinion, I think $1.28 would be a sweet spot for the RV and then go up from there. Pimpy says $1.28 would be pretty nice if we can get it, but in my opinion, if they want to make sure not to really crash their economy, they're going to have to go up in smaller increments. I know you guys don't like to hear that, and it makes me the bad guy. You might see it go somewhere from $13.10 for every dollar to around 1,100 dinars for every dollar. Maybe even 1,000 dinars for every dollar. Then from there down to like 700 small increments. All right, Mark Z question. I heard that Vietnam started their currency reform on 6/23. Do you think they're almost done? Mark Z says, I know they're making good progress, have talked about the need to raise their currency. Our U.S. State Department said a year and a half ago that they need to adjust their currency up. All right, Militiaman says the amount of construction and all those things we've talked about are not going to be affordable at 1310. They specifically did a tripartite budget, which they haven't totally exposed yet, but notice the things they've done. They were in the UN Assembly, Davos, Munich, and they were doing deals behind closed doors with all these different countries around the world, Middle East, United States, Great Britain, and on and on. They're going to be doing this to stay where they were before, or are they going back to a previous era? 1169, 1182, 1460, 1310. They never went international with those rates. Frank 26 article quote, finance completion of the implementation of the QR system for the validity of electronic receipts in various transactions. Frank says those are mechanisms of the monetary reform being revealed. If this system is complete, then Iraq has what it needs to go to float, to go international, to not knock off Forex. That's what this is. Sandy Ingram says Iraq's tourism could easily increase to over 10 billion US dollars a year, comparing it with Egypt's tourism. Samson has an article quote from Al-Sudani, an article quote. It says Al-Sudani received a letter from Washington agreeing to end the tasks of the international coalition. All right, Jeff says, what was the number one thing in the month of January Iraq kept stating in all the news articles? How they achieved critical stability. In order for Iraq, the number one thing they have to do is achieve overall stability to be eligible to revalue. Article quote, For Iraq to further continue on the path of stability and progress, an enabling environment will prove essential. Jeff says she's stating Iraq is on a path of stability and progress, and continuing in that direction will prove essential, meaning allowing them to revalue the currency and get back on the world stage. Pimpy question, there have been some references regarding some Iraqi banks in the U.S. Have you heard about any of the 3 banks on U.S. soil? Here you go. You have the Iraq National Bank, that's in New York, Rashid Bank, that's in New York, North Bank, that's Dearborn, Michigan, the Bank of Baghdad is New York City, the TBI Bank, which is in Washington, D.C. These are the Iraqi banks that are currently in the U.S. All right, Frank 26 says the United States of America stopped using the 3-0 notes back in late 1950s, but they're still in circulation. Nobody uses them. They were never null and void. They're actually a collector's item and worth a lot more than their face value. Lastly, we have got Mountain Goat that says, please just be patient. The reinstatement is coming, and I firmly believe from what we now already know and are about to witness is a major part of the banking reforms that everything else was geared up to support over the past 10 years. Iraq is about to get out of sanction mindset altogether and return to common global banking practices of how they'll be doing business with the rest of the world going forward.